Why is it that some people are successful in recovery from sex addiction and others are not? I think there are probably many reasons that could account for this. The things that I see, first of all, typically is denial. For a sex addict to determine that they're not like other people, they're not as bad off as people they may see in 12-step meetings. Right along with denial is resistance. In fact, I see these as twins, denial and resistance. Resisting any efforts at recovery, resisting any efforts on the part of the spouse to say, hey, I think you need help, I think there's a problem. Then there are other factors. For example, laziness. A person that just does not want to put forth the effort necessary to do solid recovery work. Laziness is often a factor. Sometimes it's a person's intellect that gets in the way. Someone who is proud of the fact that they think out of the box, proud of the work they do, their vocation, and how they're problem solvers, and they can come up with new ways of doing things. And often a person like this will let their intellect get in the way. They will hear what therapists or sponsors say about this is how you do good recovery, and yet they look at it and think, you know, I can probably figure out a better way. I don't need to go to those meetings. I don't need to do the reading they're talking about. I can probably do a better job doing recovery on my own. Another factor is people just discounting 12-step meetings, determining that there's problems with them. I don't like this, I don't like that. You can't even give feedback in a meeting, and maybe some people say things that don't line up with my beliefs. You know, I'm sure there are problems with even the very best 12-step meeting anywhere in the world. However, it's also true that 12-step meetings have worked for millions and millions of people. Another factor that leads to some people not being successful in recovery is not getting a sponsor. And for me, this is really kind of a no-brainer. Why would someone not want to get a sponsor? I mean, a sponsor is a mentor, someone who volunteers their time up to an hour a week for a year or more. Who would not want to take advantage of such an amazing resource? And yet there are people who have gotten a sponsor who go to meetings, and yet they still do not do well in recovery. And the reason is, for these people, many are not working the steps, the 12 steps. You know, the 12 steps of recovery, it's not just something that's read at the beginning of a meeting, or something that where you can look on a website and say, oh, okay, here's the 12 steps. Each of the steps has a lot of work in it. A sponsor will make assignments and say, here's how you work the first step. Here are things that you do. Here's your writing assignment. Here's your reading assignment. And next time we get together, I'm going to hold you accountable for that. And yet, even with all of that, some people who are already working the steps, go to meetings, have a sponsor, do all the things that they've ever been asked to do. At least on the surface, they're doing all the things they've been asked to do. Yet for some of them, they still fail in recovery. So what is the answer for these people? Why is it that some succeed and some fail? I believe it comes down to commitment. Anything less than 100% commitment in recovery means that a person either has had a relapse or they are on their way to a relapse. I like to think of recovery as being much like a boat. Imagine yourself in a pleasure boat, and the plug in the drain plug has been pulled out, and the boat is filling up with water. It's pretty much the picture of a sex addict's life. the water coming in, the craziness, the things that are happening that are threatening life itself. If something does not happen, the boat's going to sink. Life is going to continue to go badly off track. And yet an amazing thing happens if you crank up the motor and take off across the water and get the boat up to planing. The amazing thing is water quits running into the boat. In fact, the water that's already in the boat starts to run out. And as long as the boat is moving forward, as long as the engine is pushing it forward, that boat is not in danger of sinking. The motor that pushes a person forward is recovery. Recovery is the thing that keeps a person's life afloat. Anything less than 100% commitment to recovery means that a person has stopped the engine, is allowing the water to get back into their life, allowing them to get back to a place where they are at risk, they are in danger. Recovery is the one thing you can't take a day off with. You can take a day off work. You may take a day off of a diet and say, oh, I won't do it today, but I'll go back to my diet tomorrow. But you can't do it with recovery. Recovery takes 100% commitment. And if you're not 100% committed to your recovery, then get ready. A relapse is on the way. But what I know is you can make that 100% commitment. You can be successful in recovery. I'm Dr. Milton Magnus, wishing you hope and freedom.